Welcome back, everyone, to Point of Sale, where we break down great retailers and the data and technology that, of course, move their supply chains. And I know what you're thinking, Grace. What are you wearing? It's the brightest thing that I've ever seen. Well, like every driver out there, I am wearing my PPE as we get excited for this wonderful week of National Truck Driver Appreciation Day. Now, I know what else you're thinking. Grace, this is a retail supply chain show. Oh, why on earth are we talking about drivers? Well, we're going to be talking about the labor force today in particular. And of course, this being a big part of it, 3.5 million people out there every single day making sure that your supply chains are moving and doing it with almost little to no appreciation throughout the year. So thank you to everyone who has taken time out of this week to just thank a driver, go outside, go shake some hands, do all the marketing nonsense that you want to do. It all matters. It all adds up, because at the end of the day, what we're slowly going to see here in the next couple of years is some really tight labor markets for our supply chain. And that's all the way down to drivers. We've got some really great technology that's going to be needed. We've got a lot of areas within in store, in delivery, that are going to need really great people behind them. And if we can't take just a second out of our day, out of 1 week, out of the whole year, to thank the drivers, the ones that we see on the road every single day, we're into a load of trouble. And that's what we'll dive into today. And we'll of course, end it off with a solution. And I think that's the biggest part when we have these appreciation weeks and we have these moments of, remembering and thanking the employees that are part of the supply chain. It's always important to figure out, okay, well, what's the solution to this loss of labor, this need of labor, and how do we get people to stay and become a part of the supply chain industry, whether that's a warehouse worker or whether that's a worker in technology making the autonomous and different scheduling systems, and in this case, yard management systems that we'll need in the future. So we'll dive into that near the end with our guest here. But first, I want to dive into just a couple of areas where, outside of even the driver, we're really going to see some support needed when it comes to workers in our supply chain. The first is the holiday season. Right? We, of course, demand is lower this year, but that's not stopping people from buying a lot of that inventory that's moving all around the U.S. And we've already seen this week, UPS announced they're going to need 100,000 workers, not just delivery workers, but even workers within their warehouse systems, in order to keep up with that demand. Geodis came out, said that they need 5,000 workers, and it's continuing to see, especially the on-demand and delivery, as many of people continue to forget about Christmas into the last week. Those people are going to be needed in order to make sure that we're keeping up with our holiday demand. And outside of just even the holiday, going into 2023, we talk about all the time the issues with finding appropriate warehouse space for a lot of our retailers. Most of it's leased, and most of it being built is being leased as well prior to it even beginning to lay down that concrete. And it's important to realize that most people are feeling this way. In a recent InstaWorks survey, 63% of warehouse managers did not feel that they would reach their labor needs this upcoming year. It's a pretty good majority. And of the 58% of that group as well were already dealing with fulfillment growth. E-commerce isn't going anywhere anytime soon. That's important to know. And if anything, it's going to continue to be the way that we all want to shop. So in order to pull that off, one, we need those people in those warehouses ready to manage those packages and ready to hand those out. And I know what you're thinking, well, Gracie, you really do talk about a lot of the automation that we're putting in warehouses, though, to help fulfill a lot of these labor shortages that we're going to see. Well, guess what? We need people behind the robotics aspect of it as well. The need for robotics, yes, is up about 40% this year as people begin to put orders in for all types of robotics and automation, whether that's in the warehouse or we're looking at robots and the final mile delivery. Robotics is everywhere. When people say I can't find people or I can't maintain or retain people, they look to robotics. Well, robots don't just pop out of nowhere, and the technology behind them doesn't just pop out of nowhere. At the pace that we're currently seeing robotics implemented, 57% of the available manufacturing and warehouse jobs will continue to remain unfilled. I mean, that shows you right there that we aren't even keeping up with demand on the robotic side either. So it's important to realize, though, where we look at warehousing and maybe even on demand delivery jobs, robotics takes a whole different type of individual to handle. It's a higher education level. One thing people don't realize is, much like most autonomous technology, none of it's the same. A lot of it's going to take individuals who are very good at one specific method or one different way of creating and engineering robots that's going to just be needed for one specific job. It's going to be easier to retain because it's going to be harder to jump from job to job. But again, at the demand that it's at, they might have a good chance of being able to jump from job to job as well. So, one area that, of course, we need to look at is the how are we treating employees, even in robotics? How are we retaining them? How are we recruiting them? Because that is a whole other area again that's going to be needed. And to think at the rate that we're implementing robots, if we still are seeing 57% of manufacturing and warehouse jobs unfilled, that's not a small number. It's about 3.5 million that will be needed. So 57% is right under 2 million. So here's the thing. We talk about labor. It's not going to appear out of nowhere. We still have boomers retiring at the highest rate ever. COVID is still happening. People are still sick from it and still out of work. And immigration policies have been harder since COVID and more difficult to come in the country. Check out a recent episode of the Serious Show where me and John Kingston got into that a lot of this might even come down to immigration to find these workers. So at the end of all of this, what should we do? Well, if we can bring up this image really quick from InstaWork, they asked the individuals as a part of the survey what they're going to do this. And the first one is probably the easiest and most obvious. Implement and improve retention practices. Keep the people indoors. Give them a career to look forward to. Create a culture that really makes them want to stay at the job, love their job, and invest their life fully in that job. Of course, there's other areas. You can increase headcount. That's just going to make your retention issue worse, though. You could work on different recruiting practices. But again, if they get in there and they don't like the job, retention once again up. What's interesting, of course, is the few of the last ones, adding new scheduling, staffing, and planning software, or even just technology in general to recruit and get more recruits in maybe at a younger age who are used to using this technology. And I think that's why I'm really excited today to have a certain guest with us, because we're not only talking about technology that, one, improves the driver's day, we're talking about a company that could have a really big impact on the future of logistics. And C3 Solutions is a company that's been on the show before, so you should know them as a yard management and dock scheduling system. But what's more important is that in this company, they're focused on culture. Why? Because they understand the use of their technology in the future, but more importantly, the people behind that technology that are really going to help this grow. So I want to welcome you all to welcome Elise Crevier with us today. She's the president of C3 Solutions. It's nice to see you again, Elise. How are you doing today?
Nice to see you, Grace. I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm a little bright today than the last time you saw me, but
Yeah, I'm kind of conservative.
I'm gonna go out there and strap some trucks down after this. That's for sure. But I want to thank you for coming today. We've had Greg on the show before. At this point, C3 is definitely a friend of the show, family of the show. Tell us a little bit about your background, Elise, and your time in the industry, especially at C3, since you've been there for a good amount of time.
Yeah, I've been there for 20 years. So to be honest with you, Grace, I was kind of born at C3. So after my bachelor's degree, after my bachelor's degree, I met Nicolas Couture, who's one of the co-founders and was the president at the time. And I met the small team at C3, and I already knew it was a different company, the way they manage people and their project and their activities. So it was a great fit for me. And so I did HR exclusively for a year and a half, and then I moved to project. So I was part of the implementation team for 8 years. and then operations, and then president. So over 20 years, it's been a great journey so far.
I love that. And yes, you've been there for just under 2 decades. It's incredible, and that means that you've had such an essential part, though, of C3's growth. And I'm interested during your that time. I know that you, in particular, and employees that I've talked to at the company, say that you're very passionate about the culture at C3. Why do you
I
think
am.
culture is so important to the growth and end products that comes out of C3 as well?
Yeah, well, from the start, our motto was to be the best at what we do. And why not have fun while doing it, basically? And we knew it was, to achieve that, it was about people, hiring the right people, intelligent and cool people, and keep them. And keeping employees for us is not throwing perks at them and making promises. We do have some perks though, but but it's really applying your values on a day to day basis and in your management. And so we decided to just to be different, to think outside the box, to insert some fun in our jobs, to of course allow people to evolve in the company. A bit like my story, we have a lot of other stories like that at C3 as well, and act like family members. So really be there for one another, and it definitely worked. We're 52 employees right now. We have 32% of our employees that have more than 10 years at C3, which is for a tech company is pretty good. We've celebrated our 20th anniversary this summer, which is nice as well. Yeah, and Grace, so just some examples of what we do differently, if I may. For example, we have now a CHO, so it's a Chief Happiness Officer, or beautiful Kelly. And really, our role is to take care of the well-being of the team, to make their life easier, so they can really concentrate on their jobs. We during the pandemic, we rebuilt our offices, which we now call the C3 House for the C3 family, and it's really a loungy style of offices where we have spaces where people can come, feel comfortable, great spaces to work and brainstorm. So C3 House has been a great success. And social, it kind of took a life of its own. You can go see our Facebook page to see some of it, but our people are involved in social causes, events. We have a volleyball league. We have a C3 band. We have yoga courses and boot camps at the gym. So it's really something. It's a fun and work hard environment.
That is really cool. And a chief happiness officer.
Yeah,
I love that. Imagine putting that on your resume. It's absolutely wonderful, right? And I'm sure, I assume that she's probably the most happy person at the office as well,
she
spreading
is.
that joy.
She's the best.
And that's awesome. I love that. Did you see also a C3 band? Is that right?
We have a C3 band now. Yeah, we've discovered some good talents. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's really
But
cool. Well, hey, you got to
the
come to
majority of
F3.
it is sorry, Grace.
No, you're good. I was saying you have to come to F3 and perform or something. That's really cool. What's great about that though is that showcases that your leadership is willing to learn about the employee outside of work. I think a lot of times people, when they spend time and invest maybe a little bit more time in an employee, it's more about investing in what they can do for the ROI of the company. But when you invest in their passions, you start to see the employee by themselves invest deeper into the company. So I think that's really, really important. And I guess if you could describe C3's culture in 3 words, what 3 words would you choose to describe it to hopefully future employees?
Yeah. Well, for family, for sure, I would say that would be the first. Then I would say courage, the courage to do things differently, to innovate, to go through difficult times together, and to embrace change as a team. So And the last one, I would say, showing up. It's actually two words, but showing up for your people and for your customers as well.
I love that. Well, and I guess that leads to my next question. So, as we build and grow a strong culture within a company, and especially C3 in general, how do you feel like culture can affect not just clearly the company's growth, but the development of the solutions and the services that you're creating for customers?
Yeah, well, it comes back to what I was saying initially. We wanted to be the best at what we do, and we thought it was about the people and keeping them. So it does apply for us. It's a direct relationship, and so we've been focused in yard management and dog scheduling for 20 years, super focused on that, and we basically apply the same values with our customers. So we go and see them, and we are connected with them. We understand their businesses, their pain points, what they want, and well, the result is really a super tailored solution for their industry, their businesses.
I love that. That's that family culture, right? Making them feel like it's more than just a company or a vendor in this case. It's a true partnership, and I think what really the to add another word to your three, it creates this culture of loyalty, and with loyalty, right, comes everyone putting each other's needs together before yourself. And so I assume because of that loyalty, that's why that trickles down into your customer's experience as well. And I guess in general, how have what feedback have you gotten from your customers? Is there any tools that you would say have been developed uh, or improved upon, or maybe you're working on something new because of what customers have asked of you?
Yeah, well, I was saying that we've been focused on yard management and dog scheduling, and recently we I guess launched another product, which is C3 Hive, and C3 Hive is really
Nice.
the bridge between the planning, the dog scheduling, and the execution, the yard part, where we allow drivers to communicate with the site via an application, and they can provide their ATA, and while on site they could do a automated gate ends if the site permits it, and while on site they can communicate with transport or other people in the site where with the DC, without even going out of their trucks. They have direct communication. So it's really appreciated so far by the drivers, and saves time. Yep.
Love that. And yes, of course, it's National Truck Driver Appreciation Week, and being a provider of the technology that actually puts time back right into the driver's day. Is there anything that you would like to say in for your family at C3, right? In order to appreciate or give back to the, do you have anything, I guess, to say to the driver workforce today for their work throughout the year?
It's a good question. Well, thank you to start with.
Yeah.
And I'd
Yes,
like to
right.
say that we work hard on educating our customers and shippers around the world on the pressing need of giving back time to drivers. And as I was saying, implementing solutions like C3s that will streamline the supply chain activities will do just that.
Exactly. It's really cool that at the end of the day, it's like if someone was to say C3, what's your purpose, right? It's to literally make time, to create time, something that we all wish we had. None of us want to get older, right? None of us want to waste one moment of our own day. And in particular, time for the carriers is money. And that's a lot of times when we do driver surveys, that's the number one thing they want is just either time back with their family or money for that time that they've have to unfortunately be away. And I'm really happy to have you in particular on the show, and especially this type of technology, because I think sometimes we see in a lot of big headlines oh, that we're having issues with labor shortages, or labor's in particular brought up in supply chain is mostly looked at as warehouse workers or truck drivers. But people don't
Mhm.
think about the technology that actually pushes these two groups forward. And it's companies like yourself, it's autonomous trucking companies, it's the technology, the future truck technology, right? All of that stuff's going to add up over time. So, representing the drivers today in this outfit, I thank you for working and making sure that that time is going back into their pockets as well. And I guess for you, just a personal question, being there for 20 years, which is
Mhm.
just so commendable. We see people in this industry jump from place to place and place. What are your hopes for the next 20 years at C3? What are you hoping to build even more culture wise, or anything in particular that you'd want to add?
My wish is that we to preserve our culture. We've done some, added some layers of management recently, and we made sure that our new managers do get our culture and our priorities, and we did a lot of new things with them. But really, my wish is I believe in that format. I believe we can become a big company with big success, with keeping family and family oriented values, and remain focused on our employees and our customers, of course.
Love that. Well, Elise, where can hopefully future employees reach out to you, or learn more about C3 and your solutions?
Well, we have our website. It's c3solutions.com, and there's a page which is called Join Our Team. And for people that would like to join, but curious people about, the look of our new offices, the C3 house, in the Join Our Team page, there are some pictures of that. They will see the C3 team. So it's the best way to have a sneak peek. Otherwise, on our if you guys want to follow our Facebook page on the social side, we put some interesting and fun things there, or LinkedIn as well.
Love that. Well, you got a new follower. I will head there right after the show. Thank you so much, Elise, for coming on, and I'll have you back
Thank
on in the
you.
future. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Thank you.
No problem. And for our audience out there, again, I'll make sure that I share that on Twitter and LinkedIn as well, so that you guys can get a chance to head that way. But at the end of the day, appreciate everyone in the supply chain. If you see a driver fueling up this week, go over, shake their hand. I've done it a couple times already this week, been hanging out at the local truck stops, and you guys would not understand, or gals, not understand how much it means to them to just have a regular conversation with someone out of their truck. The guys and gals are driving all over the U.S. every single day. So give them that opportunity. Thank them. See how quicker they get stuff delivered. See if your retail purchase get to you faster. I guarantee that they will. And of course, make sure that you go to freightwaves.com/POS in order to become a part of our point of sale family. Sign up for our bi-weekly newsletter, and you'll be able to get all of your retail news delivered right to your inbox twice a week. Of course, we have this wonderful show and podcast as well. So make sure wherever you're watching this that you like and subscribe. If it's YouTube, or if you're listening as a podcast, hit that like and subscribe button so that we can get that feedback too. And of course, make sure that you guys are checking out our radio show. I am on SiriusXM every single day, Monday through Friday, from 5 to 7 p.m. This week we're celebrating truck drivers as well, so we got a giveaway every single day, and some fun time with the wonderful Ingrid Brown on this upcoming Friday episode. And last but definitely not least, especially since we found out maybe C3's band will show up, if you guys are looking to meet all of us live in person, F3 is right around the corner. Yep, the Future of Freight Festival is finally here. After a year of patiently waiting, we are excited to all spend time together as the Freightways family as well, from November 1st to the 3rd in the wonderful Chattanooga, Tennessee. Head over to live.freightwaves.com and you can register for that, get tickets, get hotels, and get excited. We've got some wonderful speakers from a lot of the companies that we've seen on the show before, a lot of the technologies that we talk about, GATIC, a lot of these autonomous vehicles, things like that. They'll all be there. And of course, we got some wonderful live performances from Eli Young Band, Larry Fleet, Pat Green, Boyce Avenue, and the Yacht Rock Review as well. So again, head over to live.freightwaves.com in order to get a chance to meet all of us. Other than that, everyone have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next week as well.